Hello, Cyclopeans. Welcome to podcast number 10, Sci-Clops, and my name is Dan.
And I'm still Tom.
And this is brought to you by H.P. Lovecraft's Beyond the Wall of Sleep. And without further ado, we are going to go straight into Tom's latest news on movies, right?
TV, I'm start
TV,
with.
sorry about that.
That's all right. So I've been catching up with Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow for DC stuff. And
where do you get all the time for this?
I have 2 days off in a row. I didn't do much. But they're finally starting, because they talked about how this year was going to be the big 4-way crossover because they got Supergirl.
Yep. Yeah.
And they haven't really been weaving it, luckily, they haven't been, really trying to shoehorn in Supergirl into all the rest of the shows. It's just kind of going to happen. So we'll start off with Arrow. Arrow continues to get interesting because they threw in the new introduction of the character Vigilante this week.
Awesome.
And before I said the new character, Adrian Chase, they introduced this season, had a neon sign over his head that he might as well be Prometheus.
Yep.
I think they went a different way with it. And with the new introduction of Vigilante, I'm thinking he might actually be Vigilante as opposed to Prometheus, unless they're pulling a crazy double turn and he turns out to be both, but I don't think that's very likely. This season really is much more in tone with seasons 1 and 2, and it's luckily we don't have any of this wacky magic powers, and the League of Assassins isn't running around killing everybody. And so it's really nice and grounded. The new team, Oliver Swarm, is getting fleshed out, and they're starting to feel like fun additions to the cast. And it was they pull a big twist at the end of the episode I didn't see coming. And it adds a new wrinkle into what Oliver's going to have to deal with when it comes to Prometheus. And I was right. They quickly dusted the whole Quentin Lance's Prometheus thing under the rug by, there's no way he could do it because, A, he's got a crazy medical condition that, he's having a heart attack if he stresses himself. And B, he didn't pick up years of martial arts training in the span of 6 months. So I was right on that one, and it was nice to see that even the writers didn't try to draw it out and maybe Quentin Lance really is Prometheus, and it's no, he's not. So Arrow still I'm very happy that season 5 is course corrected, and I'm looking forward to where they go with it. And Central City with the Flash, the Flashpoint effects of the first 2 episodes are really still being felt. Wally West in the alternate timeline was the Flash instead of Barry. And ever since finding out that he was the Flash in an alternate timeline, Wally's been obsessed with getting speedster powers because he wants to help. Right. And on the one hand, I can kind of understand how finding out you used to be the Flash would kind of make you a little bitter, and maybe you want those powers back. But they went a little far with Wally's desperate quest to get his speedster powers. But at least it furthers the storyline here of Barry really learning to deal with the consequences of time travel. They in the first 2 seasons, they always kind of said, "Oh, don't mess with time travel. Time travel is bad," and they never really gave you any concrete evidence. Yeah. But season 3 has really just been one giant parade of why you don't mess with the timeline. And they finally introduced the main villain of season 3, Savitar, right at the end of the episode. Yeah. And he looks like a cross between Zoom and Megatron. And it was a pretty cool reveal, and it's a little disappointing in the sense that the season 3 main villain is really just another speedster. But he's not just another speedster. This thing is this giant, monstrous beast that calls itself the God of Speed.
It's like Zoom on steroids.
Yeah, Zoom on steroids.
Zoom was bad enough.
Zoom was awesome.
Zoom was kicking butt all over the place.
So this is another further wrinkle. So it looks like Alchemy is actually Savitar's henchman.
Yeah.
And has been, like I said, we don't know why Alchemy was giving all the people their powers back. But he was clearly acting under somebody's orders now, and it looks like he's working for Savitar. And so who Savitar is? Savitar even human, or is it really an extra dimensional Speed Force entity thing? We'll have to figure that out as the season 3 progresses, but that's not looking too good for Barry. And off on Legends of Tomorrow, the show that's quickly becoming my favorite of the DC lineup. We got another return to the Old West, and Jonah Hex made a comeback in this episode. And they continue to work on helping Nate, who's Citizen Steel in this one, is trying to adjust to being more than just a librarian. Now he's a superhero with actual superpowers, and he has to, he's really, kind of like Wally, he's overeager to get in the field because now he actually does have powers and can help. And they've finally started to address where Rip is, because Jonah Hex, the second he sees them all again, he goes, "Where's Rip?" And they all kind of look at each other like, he's missing. And it's nice to see Rip get a mention, at least, because, like I said, that's the only real problem with Season 2, is they haven't really done much in the look for Rip.
Kind of left him aside.
Yeah, he's he disappeared. But, so that was fun.
I gotta ask you a quick thing on that Legends of Tomorrow, which is an interesting question. They're going back to the Old West.
Yep.
You see so much of the Old West on sci-fi shows. They love the Old West.
Well, you think about it.
Fans love it.
It's easy to do, too. You just need a couple saloons and gunfire.
But people love the Old West. And look at Stephen King with
Gunslinger.
With the Gunslinger, and that goes to the Old West. And Serenity, and that was all Old West. And so is this, and people love the Old West. And what's the HBO thing that's coming out now? Westworld.
Yep.
Really hot.
Which looks really good. I gotta get into that.
To see so much Old West return. And funny, I don't think any of the sci-fi fans really watch Westerns, but they love the Old West if you stick it with sci-fi stuff. But it's interesting.
It lends itself well to the genre.
Yeah, and it seems to work really well for some strange reason. And then you get the what's it called? You merge the Old West and the machinery and steampunk. God, I'm having a mind blank today. Another mind blank day. But that steampunk comes out really well too. I didn't mean to take it too far off.
No, you're fine.
Left field on. I just thought it's another interesting Old West example.
Yeah, we're only, I think, 5 or 6 episodes into Legends of Tomorrow, and they've done a pretty good job. The real big appeal of this is it's a time travel show, so you see various periods of history. We've done the Old West, the 40s, feudal Japan. We did the slight future, about 30 years in. Then they've done the far future, the Time Masters. I do like that there are certain characters who we're getting to see more of, like Jonah Hex has gotten 2 episodes. I don't really think they should try to get stuck in, we're visiting the Old West, but in a different part of the country kind of thing. Let's mix it up really with the time periods. And that was something they didn't do quite as much in Season 1, but that is, again, it's the pilot season. And the plot actually did lend itself to sticking around in certain time periods for a little bit longer than 1 episode. But so far, they've done really good in Season 2. And every character in this show has something going on. You've got Nate trying to find his way, Amaya trying to deal with the fact that she's a time traveler she's from the 40s, now dealing with all these time travelers from the future. Heatwave is still struggling with the loss of Captain Cold. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing is now Professor Stein is having these migraines accompanied with visions of a woman he doesn't know but feels like he's in love with. And he's wondering if their actions have inadvertently caused his past to be rewritten.
Because
he's run into his past self not once but twice.
It almost sounds like these guys are picking a little bit of their storyline from The Flash. You've got the visions, you've got the timeline, you've got
because with Barry has
Captain Cold.
Barry's going in blind when he changes the past.
Yeah.
He has no way of knowing. These guys, their ship actually can tell them changes that have happened in history if they're large enough to be, a distortion, like the Nazis bombing New York City.
Yeah.
So everybody's got something going on, and Jax and Professor Stein accidentally uncover a message from future Barry warning them about something.
Yep.
And the two of them have been really struggling with whether they should tell the rest of the crew about this. Even the viewers don't even know what it was, but apparently it's very bad. And so right at the end of this...
Don't take the brown acid.
Yeah, right at the end of this episode, though, we get a message from Sarah saying that they are needed back in 2016. And my guess is that was them getting ready for the big Supergirl crossover, because the promo images show Sarah with Barry and Oliver and
that's going to be
Supergirl.
really cool. I love when they bring all of them together.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see, because again, Supergirl exists in an alternate universe to all the rest of these shows, so something big has got to happen to rip her into, or them into her world, however it happens. And the last bit of TV news I have is the Inhumans, which were long rumored to get one of the Marvel movie slots, are now instead going to be getting their own TV show instead. Okay.
Well, that's big news. Holy moly,
big,
that exploded on the scene the other day.
It's interesting because the Inhumans, there was I forget his name, but there was an executive at Marvel who really, really wanted to push the Inhumans. Yeah. He wanted them to get a movie because, they didn't have the rights to X-Men for a film. Right. So he wanted the Inhumans to kind of fill that void. And Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel Studios, never really was a big Inhumans fan, so he just didn't care. And eventually, finally, Kevin Feige got his way, and it looked like the Inhumans movie had pretty much been scrapped altogether. They said it was still in development, but
it's going to TV
it's
now.
Not going to be a movie. So now it's going to TV.
TV series.
And this is interesting because one of the biggest rumors was that Vin Diesel was going to play Black Bolt. And I think Vin Diesel was perfect casting choice for Black Bolt.
In the movie, you mean?
In the movie.
But what's interesting, can I throw something out here real quick? There was an article the other day, and gosh darn, I can't remember who put it out, but they're talking about how a lot of the major movie people are rushing to TV now because TV is getting so hot. So maybe, and unless I cut you off, I didn't mean to do that. But you were going to say Vin Diesel might appear on TV.
An interesting caveat to that is Hollywood guys are doing TV stuff now, but it's like miniseries or like HBO or Starz, one of the premium networks, They're not rushing to do cable TV.
Maybe it's a matter of time. Well, Netflix gets a little better.
Because even, I forget who said it, he goes, there's an executive
They don't
at Marvel.
get that kind of money that they get in the studio.
Yeah, no, not close. There was an executive at Marvel who said, I can't see Vin wanting to take A, the time, and B, the pay cut to do a TV series. Instead of, he's doing Fast and Furious 8. Yeah, he's got a Riddick sequel in the works.
I was kind of hoping, because
I would love to see
that they were actually
Vin Diesel as Black Bolt on TV, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I was hoping by TV they meant like the CW and stuff like that, not just like HBO and.
It's on ABC. Cinema. Yeah, I don't think we'll ever see like a big Hollywood A-lister unless it's like a 1 or 2 episode guest off on a TV show.
It's a darn shame because I think we'll wait and see. Let's just hope hope. And what do you guys think out there? Do you think maybe we'll see a Vin Diesel appear on here, or maybe
Well, the thing with Black Bolt is the king of the Inhumans. And you don't have to necessarily make the TV show about the Inhuman royal family. The Inhuman royal family could be like these imposing off-screen characters that are rarely seen but like often talked about. Mm-hmm. And Vin Diesel could, in theory, make a guest appearance a few times a season as Black Bolt, because Black Bolt doesn't even really talk, because that's his whole power is if he speaks, he unleashes like devastating sonic waves that kill everybody. So Black Bolt communicates with telepathy
like
with his
Laurel
wife.
And Flash.
Yeah.
Which the
Black Canary. Yeah, except his level cities.
Black Canary or Black Siren?
No, it's Black Canary.
Black Canary, sorry.
Black Siren was her in the alternate episode of Flash.
Yeah, I'm having
but
so yeah, mouth and a building comes
you could do the Inhuman royal family as guest characters, but I think the show is actually going to be about the Inhuman royal family, which is Medusa, Triton, Black Bolt, Karnak.
Too cool.
No, Karnak's not part of the royal family. He's just a royal guard, I think. No, yeah, Karnak is. Yeah. And Gorgon, I think, is the royal.
Is there any tie-in with American gods coming in here? It's just because you got the gods coming in, there comes Medusa, and all these like.
Well, no, that's just their names.
I know it's just their name, but it's still fun.
American Gods is going to be a TV show.
I know. I'm just throwing all this against the wall, folks.
And Neil Gaiman's done comics before Sandman.
Yeah, just for fun,
But that's all I got as far as TV's going.
Can I throw a Flash thing in there really quick? We're having a little fun here, folks. Tom's trying to Tom's trying to stay organized up here, and I'm throwing them all over the place. I just got done with Flash Season 2, and I was just going to talk about it with Tom really quick. And Tom's like, oh, you got done with Season 2? I binge-watched it. I'm getting caught up on Flash. And I was kind of wondering, did you think that maybe they're throwing Wally in there a little too fast? Because Wally, in Season 2, he's this kid, and he's going to be a quarterback, and then he gets zapped by the...
No, that's Legends of Tomorrow.
No.
That's Firestorm.
No.
That's Jefferson Jackson. Wally is Joe's son.
Yeah.
Jefferson Jackson is the quarterback.
My bad. Wally. Oh, God. Okay. At any rate.
Yeah, the Firestorm episode, yeah.
I said Wally. Sorry, folks. Firestorm gets thrown in there pretty fast. And And sorry about that, folks. You got so many names here in front of me. I'm mixing them all up. Next thing he's in a garage, and they find him, and because the other guy has rage issues.
Yeah.
So they find him in this garage, and then he's like working in there, and hey, you want to join us? Because he didn't want to join before, and they come back. Why don't you join us? And he's like, well, I don't really know if I'm gonna. And the other guy shows up, and he's like, look what you did to me. He's blowing everything up, and like in other words, like you guys really screwed me up good. And then this kid's like, yeah, I think I'll join after all that. Like what? So. I don't know, and then all of a sudden he's here and he's there, and it just seems like they're throwing some of these.
No, they needed him for
Season 2 had some holes in it. Season 2 had some big fat holes. I liked Season 2 overall. I admit I binge watched Season 2. Overall, I came out the end. I liked it. I think Zoom is really nasty. Boy, is he nasty.
Zoom, those first couple episodes of Zoom
he's quite dark,
awesome,
and he
terrifying.
kills a lot of people. And he's kind of like the General Grievous of this whole thing. He's just like slaying everybody without mercy, and they just can't seem to figure a way around him. And I like what they did in Season 2 with that, but I'm kind of like, gee,
and I think Season 2 did something very important that Season 1 didn't do. In Season 1, Barry doesn't beat Reverse Flash. Eddie kills himself, so the Reverse Flash ceases to exist. Mm-hmm. This time, Barry beats Zoom. Barry actually defeats the villain instead of needing somebody else's help.
Yeah.
So that was a nice step up for Barry to
we saw that Barry's getting better and better with his powers.
And,
and yet the timeline's starting to fray, and weird things are going to start happening, and he's really screwed some stuff. Now, and he also gets this settled thing with his mom now. He goes to the grave and.
Yeah. That's right. That was the ending of. Wait till you get into Season 3.
Yeah. The Speed Force kind of. The Speed Force kind of turns out to be almost like the Metachlorians in kind of thing, and that they kind of. What is the Speed Force?
It's sentient. Yeah,
Can you see that coming back later on in a later episode?
Not yet. He hasn't gone back to the Speed Force.
I can see them.
In almost every form of Flash media, the Speed Force is really kind of like a living thing.
Yeah.
It gives out powers to those it usually deems worthy. You can get an accident, like Zoom and Reverse Flash get their powers through accidents, but the Speed Force can actually choose somebody to become a speedster, like it did with Barry in both Wally Wests.
Yep.
And it's like a sentient thing out there somewhere.
That's very interesting. I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with the Speed Force, and if that comes back maybe in a
I thought the episode where he was trapped in the Speed Force was a very good, a great episode.
They almost used it to clean stuff up. They said, you know what, let's get this mom thing out of the way and let's get him straightened out. And he comes back and he's all happy and he's like, I can take care of anything. And his whole team's like, no, you can't. You got to be miserable.
And then Zoom kills his dad.
Yeah.
In front of him.
Yeah. Like kills his dad.
Well, that's kind of a downer. I don't know what it is.
Like, whoops. Anyway, we went a little long on the Flash here, but it's just interesting. The Flash seems to be doing really well. It's still really hot on Twitter. It's still really hot on a lot of shows. And I think you're going to see a lot more seasons of this stuff, barring some crazy thing where one of these guys, I don't know, goes off to a big movie land or something. But so anyway, we get out of Flash. We go into
now we got movie stuff.
Movie stuff.
I actually have a lot of movie stuff. The Mortal Kombat movie, which has been in production development for years and years. I think since back as far as 2010, they've been trying to do a Mortal Kombat reboot movie.
Again, right?
And for a while, Kevin Tranchinen, who did the Mortal Kombat Legacy web series, was tapped to direct the new movie, and I was very happy. Because there were some story choices and stuff that really didn't make all that much sense in Mortal Kombat Legacy, but the overall look and feel of it was very much like a Mortal Kombat game came to life.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, given the right writers, I think he could make a fantastic Mortal Kombat movie. And then, he kept getting stonewalled, and eventually he just got fed up and left. Yeah. And so it looked like the movie was kind of dead, and we didn't know if they were even going to bother doing it. But now it looks like a director whose name is Simon McQuaid, I think I'm pronouncing that right, maybe not, is who they've tapped to direct the Mortal Kombat movie. Now, the interesting thing is, this would be his first movie. He's done a lot of commercial work, which has won a lot of awards, but this would be his first feature film ever. And they're handing him Mortal Kombat, which is a big franchise with a lot of fans and a lot of pressure. And I think that's kind of what happened with Josh Trank in Fantastic Four. Now, Fantastic Four wasn't his first movie, but he was still a very young director, and they handed him a big franchise with a lot of fans, and he totally went off the deep end. And now you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody.
Yeah.
even somebody who's not a big comic fan to say that they like the Fantastic Four movie.
Fantastic Four is going to have to sit idle for another 10 years or 8 years. But do you think that the crowd who grew up with the old Mortal Kombat movie may be old enough now that you can safely go back to a new Mortal Kombat movie and say we got a whole new crowd of kids?
Well, yeah, it's been so long. I think the first one was 95 and the second or 97.
It was way
97 or 90.
Oh yeah, so we're talking
So there's a whole new generation of kids, but longtime Mortal Kombat fans like myself, A, remember those movies, and B, remember the new games, which have been fantastic. And they haven't said whether this would follow the new game franchise or the original game franchise, or because there's 2 timelines now. But I think you've got to find that balance with the movie of seriousness with the utter silliness of this thing, because it is a little ridiculous. Yeah. And the first movie, it was one of those things that was so bad it was awesome. it totally nailed the tone.
To be making a Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, it was so bad it was great. The second one was just terrible. But it does kind of make me, as a fan of the franchise, a little bit nervous that they're handing the keys here to somebody who doesn't have a track record. Mm. And I get it, if
you gotta give them a shot.
You have to, because you need new directors. Yeah. So, we'll see how it turns out. But for right now, that's all the news I have.
And it is also he's going uphill against the famous trying to make a video game into a movie.
Yeah.
Horror.
It's been done. But not very well. There's been a few that have been very good.
A lot of disasters. A lot more disasters than better.
I haven't seen it, but I heard the new Hitman movie was a better one than the original. I'm trying to think of a video game movie that was great.
Lara Croft's the only thing I can think of.
Those were okay. Yeah, those were all right.
Jolie. But other than that, I don't know if you're going to have
many that are fantastic.
Not a whole lot of great stuff out there.
Yeah.
That's video game wise, and it's kind of frustrating. There's so much good material out there. If you go I just saw an article go by earlier this morning, and this is going to kind of go a little off the left field again. But if you go, these guys keep rehashing. They go back to video games, and they go back to old movies, and they read it. And look, there's a billion great stories out there with the indie markets.
Yep.
Dig into there and find some stuff. I could go up into my book collection, and I could pull out 3 or 4 excellent books, which almost nobody's heard of, and you could make a killer movie out of. And I don't know why these guys don't do this. They're so afraid to try anything new. And it's like, well, it hasn't been tested, it hasn't been tried. But a lot of times they fail on the stuff that was tested because they're just trying to do too much with it. So I really would like to see them do more indie stuff. And this is another example of running back to the video game market and trying to make a movie out of it. So you're kind of pumped for it, but you're kind of guarded.
Yeah,
I'm not really that pumped at all for it.
But
I'm going to differ with you on this one. I'm just kind of getting tired of seeing these things be turned into movies. It's a video game. Let it be a video game. Like the Pokemon thing. They're going to make a new live-action Pokemon. How the heck are they going to do that?
Detective Pikachu
What's
or some
the point
weird
of making
thing.
a live-action Pokemon? I don't know.
Anyway.
It's a game with the whole point is just to collect monsters and have them kill each other and stuff.
No, they knock each other out.
Okay, knock each other out. The PC version. But anyway, we're having a little fun here. We're kind of discussing. What do you guys think? Do you think it's time to go back to indie out there and start pulling some stories out that are original and fresh and new ideas, or do you think we should rehash a little bit more and still got a lot of stuff we can redo? Let us know in the comments. We're kind of curious to know. What are you up against here?
Now we got the big. I talked last week about they revealed what King Kong would look like.
Kong. Wait a minute, let me guess. A giant
ape, yeah.
Fuzzy ape.
But now the full trailer for the movie has come out, and I gotta say, it was really good. I was predictably underwhelmed by the reveal of what he looks like, because he looks like an ape. But the trailer, the ambiance and the tone and the look of the island itself and the way they're going with this actually has me very excited for the movie itself. They're going with the 2014 Godzilla route, where you're not really going to get a good look at Kong until probably really late in the movie. And they've done a good job of framing the shots, so it looks like they're not purposely trying to hide Kong from you, but you're not getting the whole picture. You're seeing him from a normal person's perspective. So he's this massive thing, so obviously a normal person isn't going to be able to look up and see all of Kong.
Right.
And it looks like Skull Island will be home to more than just Kong when it comes to giant monsters. We see like dinosaur bones,
and spiders,
and other stuff like that.
The spider was pretty cool.
Which
I
makes
will
sense.
admit to all the listeners here, we do have the trailer online, and we'll have a link to it. I kind of beat it up a little bit because I was like, okay, it's Kong again, and we're on version number 3 or 4 or 5. If you want to include
Godzilla vs. King
Mighty
Kong.
Joe? Was it
Mighty God, Mighty Joe Young.
Mighty Joe Young.
Yeah.
Way back in the day. And if you want to include that, which was pretty much a King Kong ripoff back at the time, but it still was, for cult, there's a cult following on that, and, cinemaphiles will remember Mighty Joe Young. And if you don't know Mighty Joe Young, go look it up. It's worth your time to go find out, what they did back in the old days. They did the same thing. They put out Kong, and bang, someone said, I'm going to do my own Kong, and they made Mighty Joe Young. So if you're not familiar with that, do go look it up. And we'll, maybe we'll put a link up here so you can just click on it and go there. But anyway, back to Tom. Tom likes the island. Tom's pretty pumped on it. I'm not so excited about it. I've kind of seen this whole thing before. But what do you like about it?
I like because they've said that this is going to exist within the Godzilla universe. Mm-hmm. So
they're getting ready for
King Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah.
I just like that this. I think the tone fits. It's a little bit like old adventure-y, like exploring a foreign land kind of movie. And John Goodman's character clearly knows that Kong exists.
Yeah.
He's trying to find him for some reason. And they've hinted at in viral marketing the organization that tracked the giant monsters was called the Monarch Institute. Okay. And in the viral marketing for Kong, you saw that the expedition, I think, was being charted to Skull Island by the Monarch Institute.
What time frame are we in?
This is in the 70s.
That's what I thought, because they look like Hueys.
Yep.
Okay.
This is right, I think, right post-Vietnam.
Post-Vietnam. That's what I thought.
So I like that they're tying this in to Godzilla subtly. Okay. They're not just going like, hey, ready for Godzilla versus King Kong? No, this is a nice little... They're just setting the groundwork. This is a Kong movie, but they're just laying the groundwork for Godzilla vs. King Kong.
You said, like last podcast, you said we know Godzilla. We've seen different versions of him. Now we got to learn about Kong, and then we'll probably.
And Skull Island, I think, will also be cool because they haven't really come. They wanted to do a Monsters Island movie, and it looks like Skull Island might serve the purpose of being Monsters Island because there's all these giant species of monsters, and it looks really cool. I think the tone is very appropriate for a Kong movie. And I did laugh, though, because Tom Hiddleston is playing the main character of this movie, and he has no lines in the trailer. Because he's British.
He's British.
Yep. And he's playing a British SAS commando in the movie, and he gets no lines in the trailer because he's British. I'm sure in the the Britain version of this trailer, it's all Tom Hiddleston. But here in America...
America is so tight about its stars. I mean, that's why you can't see... And it's not just the movies, too. It's the music, it's the books, it's everything. America's entertainment community has such a lockdown on American stuff. They don't want anyone else getting in here and messing with their territory.
But the trailer's Samuel L. Jackson doing a lot of the talking, and it was great. It really made me want to go see this movie. So I'm excited for Kong. I think it's March. Is Kong?
I don't know what the date is. I forget. I put it up too, and I can't remember. Do you see this thing opening up? If this is successful, then we'll absolutely see King Kong versus Godzilla.
Oh, they've already announced that they already have.
Oh, they're going to do it anyway.
Yeah, 2020.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know they were going to do it. Well, they can back out.
They can back out.
Remember Ghostbusters? They had 5 movies and cartoons and a series and TV and all this stuff ready to go. And that was a disaster.
That one bombed. I don't see Kong bombing. I think it's going to be a really good movie.
I've got to be honest with you. I'm reserved about this. And this is an interesting podcast because Tom and I are kind of like on opposite sides today on a bunch of things. That's what we're not just here to suck up to every little thing. But in this case, I'm a little reserved on the Kong thing because I think it's going to go up against some pretty hardcore. Unless they drop it early.
This is the interesting thing. I think
it's going to go against Logan.
It is because Logan's a week prior.
If
I remember my dates right.
If this date is correct, it's got some really hardcore.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of surprised that you want to stick it up against because Fox has been very adamant that this is the last Wolverine movie. So I mean.
Until they reboot it again.
No, this is the last one with Hugh Jackman.
I know, but
that's a big thing, and I'm betting that's going to attract a lot of guys.
Think of this. Not only the last one, not only is it Wolverine, not only does that trailer look awesome, but they're dropping it at a perfect time. You've got a point where if this stage of the game, when this movie drops, there's going to have been nothing really big hitting the theater. It's going to be the first major release for geeks and nerds.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to go ballistic. I don't want to say the word bat blank crazy.
Yeah,
people running out and see.
After Rogue One, there's not much.
Yeah, you can see lines for this one.
Oh yeah,
I can see people lining up to get tickets for this film,
so,
and then they're going to chop Kong on top of it, which is
we'll see how that works.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm excited for it. What else have I got for movies? Oh, the Harley Quinn movie. We finally have a writer.
Yeah.
Or is it a writer or director? No, writer. Christina Hodson is her name. I think she's who's going to write it.
So where's Margot Robbie in this?
I think she's executive producer.
She's producer.
And it's interesting because it's not just going to be a Harley movie. It's going to be a Birds of Prey movie.
Yeah,
and for anybody who don't know what the Birds of Prey are, it's kind of like a female vigilante team. It's usually Harley, Katana, and Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy, yeah.
And I think this works because, like I said, I don't enjoy Harley Quinn as a solo character. I think it's too similar to like a lot of characters like Deadpool and Madcap and all these other guys who are just zany lunatics for the sake of being zany lunatics for the most part. So Harley as a solo character never really appealed to me. Harley, I think, always works best as part of a team, where she's that annoying cog in the machine that you have to put up with because despite being insane, she actually is useful.
Yeah.
So I think this is work.
You're going to catch so much grief.
I know. I'm sorry. I just don't like Harley as a solo character. So they're announcing it's a Birds of Prey movie instead of just a Harley solo movie.
She's not
has me much. She's obviously going to be the main character, but she'll have more to bounce off of than just herself.
I'm pretty excited to see because by putting this Birds of Prey in, and again, if this movie does well, you're going to see an explosion of female characters come out of here with
and that's another thing. You can rotate the cast. Huntress is part of the Birds of Prey too.
But absolutely, though, the number two, beyond Harley right now, and Wonder Woman doesn't count on this right now because she's already got her movie. She's about to come out. But Harley coming out is with her own thing, immediately puts Poison Ivy
back on the map.
And she's going to be on deck. And that's going to be that huge movie.
Yeah, the duo is always Poison Ivy and Harley. And it would be nice because Karen Fukuhara, who played Katana in Suicide Squad, she didn't have too much to do in Suicide Squad but stand there and cut people down with a sword. So hopefully this movie, if I'm assuming if they're going to have Katana in it, it would be played by the same actress, would allow her to get some more actual character development.
Crazy in here too, but it would be really cool if they just dropped a cameo or a very small appearance in this Birds of Prey movie with Harley is Batgirl or Supergirl. Just quick, get them in there and get them out.
Don't see Supergirl. Batgirl is a possibility, or Huntress especially. Huntress is actually usually part of the Birds of Prey.
You really want to get off you really want to have fun and get way off the deep end. Wonder Woman. Could they run up against one of the other women from the other side? And that'd be really interesting to see the girls.
And another interesting aspect of this is it's a Harley movie, so at some point you got to figure Joker would make an appearance.
Oh, absolutely,
because he's such a huge part of her life. And Jared Leto was very not happy with how much of his material got cut from Suicide Squad. So I think they'd have to do some serious damage control to get him back as Joker. And I think he really should come back because I think his take on Joker was really cool.
Worst case scenario, we'll call Nicholson on the phone.
Yeah, right.
We'll give you $50 million to walk in. It'll be huge.
He'll play Joker's dad.
It'll be huge. Nicholson come back then.
That's actually the funny thing is the Suicide Squad extended cut has caught some flack because it's really just a lot of Joker Harley material.
Yep.
And I'm fine with that because I think Joker was criminally underused. But
you've got to have Joker with Harley every time. I mean, you really, as much as I like Harley, I think she's pretty cool. But you really don't have one without the other. It's got to be.
Well, not true. There, not true. Joker
can never had Harley before Joker, but
Joker can easily stand without Harley. I think Harley is actually, especially now in the later comics, she's good enough to stand on her own.
It's fun. I don't mean they have to be. I'm just saying that
it's just such a they're both.
If
he's
you're
such a huge part of her character.
From this point on, if you're going to have Joker, you're going to want to have Harley in there because it's fun now. At one point, Joker stood alone because there was no Harley. And we're going way back, like the 60s, 70s, 80s. And,
even later,
not
90s.
Like it is, in 90s, but not like it is now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they can't survive without each other in the theater. I'm saying that if you're going to make a cool movie, you want both of them in there.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun. And now, I think from this point on, no matter when you see the Joker, you should see Harley in there in the back. You're just throwing an idea out there,
I think maybe not every time, but they definitely need to at least reference them because the two that have become such an iconic duo. And I think,
why wouldn't you?
I think Birds of Prey. I don't think Leto would be in a huge part of it because I'm thinking it's a Birds of Prey movie, so usually that's just them.
Right.
So I think Leto would probably either be like in the beginning or like maybe a flashback here or there.
Him taking over.
Yeah, he definitely shouldn't dominate the screen.
This movie is about Harley.
Yeah.
Quinn. Bang. And then the Birds of Prey will be her supporting cast. And the Joker might be a fun addition, and for an extra fun addition, or even in the trailer, whatever you want to do, the post credits, throw Batgirl, Supergirl, or Wonder Woman, or somebody cool in there, and then we got a really good movie again.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
It's a formula, but it works.
Yeah,
and we'd like to see it.
And what else have I got? I think I have one more. Oh, well, actually, I have three more.
Good.
But you remember that horror movie we talked about with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jackie Chan? It was based off that weird Russian story from forever ago. Yeah. I think it was Arnold just tweeted out the first picture of him and Jackie behind the scenes getting ready for filming. And I don't know what the movie's going to be about, but just after seeing this picture, I have to see this movie. Arnold's in like old school like 1800s count get up. He's got like this crazy mustache and
everything. Is this one about your Hauer and the whole thing?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Is it horror or is it sci-fi?
It's a horror movie. After just seeing this one picture, I have to see this movie.
It's going to be great.
I was going to see it anyway, but this has made me incredibly excited.
It's going to be fantastic because it's got so many names in it, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and we can't wait to see this thing. When is this going to drop?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's either late next year or early 2018.
I think they're just filming it now.
I think it'll be probably 2018 early.
Yeah. Could be a lot of fun.
And the last two bits of movie news I have... Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I forgot I had a review for Doctor Strange later, too. But the last two bits of movie news is there's the rumor that the Green Lanterns might appear in Justice League.
Wait, we got this online here. Yep, here it is.
And it makes sense because Green Lantern, a lot of the promotional material, especially when it came to Aquaman, ironically enough, has said unite the seven. Mm. And traditionally there are 7 founding members of the Justice League. Green Lantern, Aquaman, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Cyborg has come in more recent years as one of the founding members, and Flash. So it was kind of odd that Green Lantern was kind of absent, but it made sense because Green Lantern's a more cosmic-based character. He patrols the space around Earth to keep it safe. Okay. So you didn't necessarily need him in any of these setup movies yet, but with a villain like Steppenwolf, who is a cosmic villain, he's from the planet Apocalypse, attacking Earth, would kind of make sense for the Green Lanterns to step in. Yeah. And there's been a lot of question over which Green Lantern it'll be, because, there's been, I think, 4 or 5 from Earth. There's Kyle Rayner, Guy Gardner, Hal Jordan, and Jon Stewart. And really, you can't go wrong with any of them. Right. They're fantastic characters, all of them. I grew up a bit more on Jon Stewart, because I started watching the Justice League TV series where he was the Green Lantern and not Hal Jordan. Mm-hmm. So I would love to see Jon Stewart or Hal Jordan. I can understand why they might not want to go the Hal Jordan route after that Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie.
What's his name from the 2 Green Lantern movies?
Ryan Reynolds, that's what I mean.
No. I mean, the one that bombed, the one that didn't do so good.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds.
No.
He was Green Lantern.
It was. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that's what the joke was in Deadpool. He's finally getting his redemption. But so I think that the Jon Stewart might be a fun way to go. And it would be a nice way to, again, diversify up the cast a little bit. Yeah. Because you've got Superman, white guy, Batman, white guy, Flash, white guy, Cyborg's black, Aquaman, Samoan, and Wonder Woman is, she's Greek-ish. She looks mixed. But so you could, you could throw in Jon Stewart. And
it doesn't look like Bushwood for superheroes, Bushwood.
Yeah, so I think, really, you pick any 4 of those characters, and I don't think you're going to go wrong. Yeah. I'm putting my money, though, it'll be either Jon Stewart or Hal Jordan.
And another note on this is exactly what you and I have been talking about for the last several podcasts, where we're getting into that area where we're starting to develop the bench. The bench is coming out. Here comes Green Lantern.
And the nice thing is, like I said, there's 4 of them.
This is happening faster than I thought it would. Yeah. I thought it'd be another year before we were talking about this, but it's really coming out.
So there's 4 Green Lanterns from Earth. Yeah. You don't have to have. You can actually theoretically have all 4 appear.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
And have like 1 stay behind to keep an eye on Earth. So you could actually do Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner, and Jon Stewart in the same movie.
But I don't think that would happen. It would dominate the movie with Green Lantern, and this one's
not if they show up right at the end. Like Steppenwolf is beaten. And the Lanterns show up to take him to jail.
Okay.
All 4 of them show up at once. 3 of them lock up Steppenwolf, take off, and one says,
what we're hearing
"You
is
leave me
it's going to
behind."
be just an appearance.
Yeah.
They're just
So
gonna get
I don't think Lanterns would dominate.
It's exactly what we were talking about with the Harley Quinn
Yeah.
movie. You drop somebody in there, get an appearance, and get them ready.
And it sets up, it completes the league.
Right.
The league has all of 7 of its members. So I think that's pretty cool. And no real word on who might be cast yet in any of those particular roles, but I'm looking forward to that.
Very exciting.
And in similar Justice League news, kind of, the animated film Justice League Dark has gotten its first trailer, I think.
Yeah.
And
got that.
DC's built up this really nice animated movie universe and really high quality films.
Okay.
And they all kind of, some of them share continuity, some of them are just one-offs. And I think this one fits within the shared DC animated continuity. And it's the Justice League Dark, which is composed of like supernatural heroes.
Yeah.
So Constantine, Deadman, Zatanna,
Very cool.
Swamp Thing, and it's these way more obscure characters.
Yeah, going to the bench again.
And again,
wow.
It's kind of like the Doctor Strange of it, where these guys protect Earth from stuff that the Justice League doesn't even know exists. You know? And it looks like Batman kind of needs their help because, again, Batman doesn't deal with mystical threats on a very regular basis. And a little bit of fun for me is the Matt Ryan, who played Constantine on the live-action TV show, is voicing Constantine in the movie. And I think that show was canceled, again, because it was Fox, and Fox loves to do this.
Yeah, Fox.
Canceled way before when it just started to get really good. And Matt Ryan actually made an appearance on Arrow Season 4 as Constantine. Yeah. Same outfit, same everything. And I really hoped he would get into Legends of Tomorrow as one of the cast members, but I will take him as in this movie. And I will definitely be checking this out when it comes out, because I think it's a whole nother aspect of the DC comic universe that doesn't get as much big press or, common knowledge as the main stuff, but with just as good material to mine from. And it really looks like this is going to be a great movie. Cool. It's going to be rated R, I think, so it's going to be really it's going to be more of the darker tone fitting of the characters inside of it. And I think that when this finally comes out, it's going to make a great addition to the DC animated universe.
Cool.
And my final bit of movie thing is I saw Doctor Strange.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
And I went into this not really sure what to expect, because now we're getting into those weird Marvel movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man.
Trippy.
And I just mean weird, and they're not the A-list characters. Yeah. They're these guys that, comic fans know and Marvel movie fans go to see because it's part of the same thing. So obviously you're going to need to see it to know what happens later. But I went into this and I came out, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was very good. But it ran into a lot of the Marvel problems that past movies have had, and it actually, Marvel movies are known to be more family friendly. Mm-hmm. They're all PG-13. You can take your kids, and there's some dark moments, but generally, most of them have a pretty happy ending. And the humor in Doctor Strange really was off kilter with the rest of the movie.
Even Cumberbatch dropping the lines?
Cumberbatch, no, it's not the delivery. It's just the humor itself didn't really feel like it should be there. Benedict Cumberbatch plays Dr. Stephen Strange, a world-renowned physician who was into these really obscure medical procedures that have crazy risk, but he's the best in the world, so he can do them. And it's interesting because he plays a hero a bit like Tony Stark in that he's kind of a jerk. He's crazy rich. He really only cares about furthering his career. Yeah. And, he's kind of unlikable, really.
Like
you know people like him. Yeah. And even more so, I think, than Tony was. Tony was unlikable, but you got the sense that...
Girls liked him, though.
Yeah. But, Benedict Cumberbatch, at certain points in the movie, was just like, why do you have friends? You're a terrible person. But that was the whole point.
That was the point, yeah.
So he gets in a car accident, and his hands get totally screwed up. Can't perform surgeries anymore, so he exhausts all his money, all his time. He's trying to figure this out. And I won't give away how, but he eventually leads himself to the Ancient One, who teaches him about magic, and maybe he'll be able to heal his hands one day with it. So he's predictably skeptical, but decides that, whatever. I'm on. This is my last shot. I might as well take it.
Okay.
And it really is this dark movie. The opening bits are like him in rehab and him waking up, seeing his mangled hands. And it's a dark movie.
You thought it was a little darker than it should have been? Or what?
No, it was perfectly tonally-wise, but when they do the humor, sometimes it was funny, and other times I just sat there like, wow, that was shoehorned in there.
Yeah.
And
I didn't see this yet, so I'm very interested. Every single person I've heard from was like, "Oh, this is the greatest thing ever," and I'm thinking it's going to be really good.
When it comes to actually representing the magic, fantastic. Visually, this movie was head and shoulders above almost anything you'll see anywhere else.
I heard that this goes a little farther ahead, like they push this boundaries on the cinematography.
Oh yeah, the scenes,
we going into new stuff now,
especially in the mirror universe. Yeah. With all the buildings warping and stuff going on. Cool, yeah. It was really cool.
Matrix.
The magic was awesome.
Yeah.
And like I said, I still enjoyed the movie a lot. I thought it was very good. And by the end of it, they ended the movie very well.
Yeah.
I was kind of had this notion of where the movie was going to end in my head, and they didn't go there. They went somewhere a little different, and I thought it worked out much better than what I thought.
Without saying anything, do they drop any cameo possible, like what we're going to do next movie?
Post credits they do.
Okay, they do. Okay.
But not in the main movie. The main movie is all Strange.
All right.
And which I think was good, because we don't want anyone stealing spotlight.
Yeah.
But the post credit scene's fantastic.
Right.
And it was great because, again, Doctor Strange is one of those lesser known heroes who is very important, considering they're going to be fighting Thanos pretty soon, and they're going to need all the help they can get. And so I think I wouldn't be surprised to see Doctor Strange make an appearance in. I think actually they've confirmed that Doctor Strange is going to be in Avengers: Infinity War when they finally do take on Thanos, which makes sense because, like I said, you're going to need to pull out everybody you got to take on Thanos.
Yeah.
And so I thought overall, great movie, definitely worth going to see, especially in theaters, considering how visually stunning it is. But the main villain, again, was a one-off villain you're never going to see again, who was just there to set up the origin story. And the humor, really, more so than in other Marvel movies, the humor just kind of felt out of place.
Did you guys think it was out of place? I mean, in the comments, let us know if you like the humor, if you like the movie. I think you're going to love the movie. I have not heard a bad thing about the movie.
Oh, yeah. Like, don't take my negative comments the wrong way. Like I said, this movie is a great addition to the Marvel universe, and it's definitely worth going to see. Right. I just think that Marvel really kind of needs to address some of the stuff that they've been doing.
That's okay.
There's clearly a formula Marvel likes, and with good reason. It works most of the time. Right. This movie, I think, was a little bit tonally to the point where some of those other flaws you might not notice or notice less in another one come to the foreground a lot more in this one. Because, like I said, this is a very dark movie for most of it. And it just was kind of a little off-putting sometimes with the humor. But overall, great movie.
Well, let's see.
And Benedict Cumberbatch was fantastic as Doctor Strange.
And the movie's taken off.
And the movie has done financially gangbusters, which is good. Because I was
$800 million.
You don't want one of these obscure heroes to tank and then Marvel just go, oh, we got to go back to Captain America and Iron Man.
Because they're so easily frightened.
Yeah.
Oh, no. So that's the end of your movies for that one.
That's all I got for movies
so you
so far.
Overall, you like Doctor Strange.
Oh, yeah.
You give it a lot of stars. And you just like to see a couple minor things fixed. But that's okay. And I think the Doctor Strange movie will open up a lot of doors for a lot of cool stuff.
Oh, yes.
Considering the amount of press this thing got and the amount of response it got, and it's still getting. And now it's going up against some really hard stuff. It should drop off pretty fast, though, in the next couple of weeks, because we have some monster films coming out.
Rogue One,
yeah. Well, you have
Speaking of which, film. I was in the Rogue One trailer. It was right before Doctor Strange.
Did you close your eyes?
No, I watched the whole thing, and I had the theater basically to myself because I went to a crazy early showing.
I love that when I did that.
So I lost my frickin' mind. That trailer was incredible.
Does it look dark? Is it dark?
It looks dark.
But you know what's going to happen.
It's a war movie.
It
looks really good.
It's a war movie.
Because we don't get too many big, large-scale ground battles in Star Wars.
Other than that one from
Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, the Hoth.
That was a great ground battle.
But that wasn't the focus of the battle. The focus of the battle was the speeders and the AT-ATs.
Yeah, but
you kind of got glimpses of the ground battle.
Yeah.
But you really focused on the speeders and the AT-ATs. This thing looks like it's going to be like a war.
There's you're right. We don't get a lot of ground battles.
Yeah.
But Attack of the Clones,
but that's so much CGI and ugh. This looks like a lot of practical effects.
Yeah.
And I love practical effects more than CGI. CGI is great. It has its place. Like Pacific Rim, one of my favorite movies of all time. That's very CGI heavy. But that's something CGI fighting something CGI.
Yeah.
It's not Attack of the Clones where it's two guys with lightsabers fighting a jillion CGI robots. Yeah. Rogue One looks like it's a lot more practical effects than it is CGI. And I think that's going to be a fantastic thing to see in theaters.
And we know what's going to come of this. It's going to be very dark, and it's going to be very probably sad. I can almost see everybody getting wiped out in this movie.
Oh yeah, I mean, maybe the main girl lives and to deliver the plans, but I'm betting. I'm betting not many people.
Not many people get out of here because of that famous line where I think it's Mon Mothma says a lot of people.
Nope, that's Return of the Jedi.
Sorry about that. You're coming in. So a lot of people died to bring these.
Oh yeah.
That's what I meant.
Return of the Jedi was the Bothans.
She's whatever she says. Yeah, you're right. I get the names occasionally mixed up because this is a lower name, but she said a lot of people died to bring these in. So it's really depressing. And this is probably because she saw this movie.
This is probably this team.
So anyway, we got this. We got a lot of big stuff coming. I want to throw a quick movie or two out if I can.
Yeah. Go for it.
I got a couple things that are not so big right now, but I think they could be really cool. On the site, we've got a trailer for a horror film called The Void, and I love Lovecraft, as all of you know. And I also am pumped about this because it looks like it's like an indie film, and it looks like what they've done is combined Lovecraft and The Thing and thrown it in a small town.
A great idea.
A great idea. Like, count us in. And it looks like they've gotten, the creatures, the mindless forming and the strange things, and of course there's a hospital involved, and there's a basement of a hospital, and there's a quiet town.
As somebody who works in a hospital, sometimes I find it hard to go to work.
Like, go down to the whatever and get this. Like, no, I don't really want to do that.
What? Wait, what? Not a basement. What?
And we've worked in hospitals. Let me tell you, they're as creepy as they look in movies.
It's a Freddy Krueger murder nightmare place in the basement sometimes.
And you get down those basements, and we've worked in some really creepy hospital basements and had to go down and get stuff. And it's like you're walking around these dank, dark, creepy passageways with that machinery in the background, always going, and the pipes everywhere, and the shadows, and it's creepy in hospitals. So this is great. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. All I'm seeing is that it's coming out 2017. I got the website up, I got the Twitter site up for these guys, but I'm not getting a whole lot of info as when it's coming out, exact dates. And because it's a small production company or a couple guys making this thing, I think they're trying to do whatever they can as fast as they can, and I think they're getting funds as they go along. But take a look at this. I think if you're big into some cool, I like it because it's a horror film that it looks like it's going to have some gore and some monsters and some blood all over the place, but it's monsters, and that's what I meant to say. I want monsters. I'm tired of people just psychologically waking up and tearing each other's eyes out and blood all over the place and sex, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I want some monsters.
Did you ever see Dark Was the Night?
No.
Oh, fantastic. I think it came out either last year or 2 years ago. Kevin Durand.
I'll have to put a link up to that, too.
It was a fantastic movie.
Dark Was the Night.
And it's a bit like Jaws.
Okay.
In the sense that you don't ever really get a good look at the thing until right at the end. And it is absolutely terrifying.
Great.
I was watching this at home alone at night, like I do, because I'm stupid. And it's... The first scene happens, and you're like, okay, monster kills people. But later, as the movie gets on, it gets progressively scarier and scarier. And there's a part where the dude is locked in his house with it, and he's trying to call his friend, and he's in this room locked in the door. And he's like desperately like trying to be as quiet as possible. And he's like looking, and he sees the phones like all the way across the room.
Always across.
And he's like gonna try to like walk without making a single. And it's just like you're like, ugh, and the thing's like right out the door. So Dark Was the Night is definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen it. I'll.
And I don't know if they do that with this movie, but this movie could be like a monster.
That's what I mean. If you do a monster movie right, it's great.
Well, one of the greatest monster movies ever made? Aliens.
Yeah. Alien was fantastic.
You don't see much in the beginning. Then this little thing appears.
It erupts out of the dude's chest.
Yeah. That little guy. But then you don't know this thing is running around. And you get a glimpse, and people are vanishing. It's getting worse and worse, and then it appears. And
it's a funny thing. I was watching Alien like a few months ago, and there's a deleted scene You remember when the guy's looking for the cat?
Yeah.
And the thing, it comes down from the ceiling and gets him. And then the next scene is Ripley and the other guy talking about how this thing killed the guy. And you're like, you never even saw it. What do you mean?
And
there's a deleted scene where right after the dude gets killed and yanked up into the ceiling, Ripley and the other guy walk in and see it. And they're like, oh my God. And I'm like,
that's
why did you not leave that in? It was like 10 seconds. And it totally gets rid of that plot hole.
Nobody noticed. And there's also the scene where they stumble into the thing's lair, which is pretty cool.
Oh, they find the dude cocooned to the wall.
Yeah, which I don't know why they didn't put that in, because that was pretty heavy.
I think they just thought it might be getting a little too... They might want to save that for the sequel.
Well, then again, this is the first one they'd ever done of this. Yeah, so they decided to wait. Who knows why they did it, but it was the first.
That scene in 2 when they walked down the hallway of everybody
God, the cocoons were disgusting, and you could really see why these things are so nasty. And love those movies. Anyway, one more movie I just want to talk about really quick is a Russian movie. It's a sci-fi thriller. We also have this up on the site, called Attraction. And it's basically what I call, I looked at it, and it's kind of funny, because if you look at the trailer, it's Arrival, the new movie Arrival, where the ships appear, but this thing, the ships don't appear. The one thing comes crashing in and lands in Moscow the hard way, which is like taking out a building or two and killing a lot of people, and pissing off everybody in Moscow. And so rather than they're like, oh no, what are we going to do? They're like, the guy's looking at the camera, he's like, well, it's here, and we're stuck with it. And I'm going to go kick it out of here. And he's going for a pipe. And they're all like going to march over there and kick some butt. And like typical Russians, Yeah. They're like, we're not sitting around while this thing like does whatever it's going to do. We're going to go punch it and beat it and get it off our planet. And I think hysterical. What a different, interesting take on this, that where the Americans would be like, and I'm picking on the Americans a little bit, like, they get in touch with their feelings and discuss, and the Russians like, the hell with this, man, we're getting 2x4s and lead pipes and go take care of this thing ourselves. And so it's kind of funny like that. When you see the trailer, you kind of get a laugh out of it, you think of it like that. So it's like The Arrival on steroids. So hopefully it'll be a fun movie. I don't know about the CGI. It looks like it could be a little tiny bit rough around the edges, but it's going to be fun.
It doesn't have quite the same budget.
The Russians are trying to get some cool movies out. Remember that one with the superheroes that they had?
They totally ripped off Avengers?
Yes! And the giant bear and everything.
The giant bear was Hulk, the dude with the
but it's still
mask on his face.
And they're trying to get some stuff out, and I hope they do. I like to see another country come up and put some really cool movies out. The Americans will lock them out no matter what they do, but at least out of our theaters. But anyway, got another movie here, and it's another sci-fi movie, and I like to kind of showcase. Tom takes care of the really big ones. I like to try to peek around the littler ones and see what we got out there that might be fun to find too. So we got our movies done for now, and we got our shows done. And what else do you look at?
I got comics, and I have a video game for later.
Holy moly, we got a lot of stuff today.
Comics. So I'll start. We were just talking about it, so I'll start with Aliens. Dark Horse has been building up a lot of the Alien, Prometheus, Predator extended universe with a lot of these shared storyline comics.
Right.
And the newest one is set within the Aliens universe. And it's funny because once Prometheus came out, it kind of upended everything. The engineers created the black goo, which mutates everything, kind of creates the aliens, and you're like, oh, okay.
Bioweapon.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't really upend, it just kind of adds a whole new element to the whole franchise. And this has done a surprisingly good job weaving in the Prometheus elements of stuff like the black goo without ever really feeling like just cram it in there and get it in. And so this group of Marines who had gone to settle the planet, or to kick off people who were poaching on the planet, run into the aliens and the engineers, and it all goes horribly wrong. And as it always does,
when you run into the aliens and the engineers at the same time.
So now the aliens have captured a bunch of their party and have brought them back to the hive to be cocooned. And one character wakes up in the hive not cocooned. And she's kind of surprised by this, given that everyone else is cocooned to the wall and have the chest burster holes and dead. Yeah. And she soon discovers why. She's looking around and the aliens are dying off. The black goo, which it looked like created them, apparently if they're exposed to it for too long, actually causes birth defects and kills them.
Huh.
So all the aliens that pop out of people are dying 2 seconds later. And so the queen even got some stuff going wrong with her. And so she's wandering around the hive. The aliens aren't killing her. And she's very confused by all this. And then she finally, it dawns on her. She's not just carrying an alien. She's carrying the last viable queen.
Ah.
So the aliens aren't going to rip her to shreds because they need her.
Yep.
And so the rest of the characters are trying to get her back. They have a plan.
But if she's carrying the last viable queen, isn't she waiting for it to chest burst off?
That's what, and she even tells him at this point. She goes, I'm not only carrying one of these things, I'm carrying a queen. Why are you coming for me? Leave. And they have a plan to put her in stasis and then cut it out of her. And so,
yeah, let's use it for military. Oh, that'll work.
Yeah.
That always worked before.
But predictably, stuff is happening outside of this. Awesome. The engineers, apparently, we still don't know why, but the engineers have a plan of their own.
Yeah.
There's a predator who got trapped on the planet and is working with them.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
I was like, where's the predator?
The predator is actually the predator from the previous storyline.
The only thing we're missing is a Terminator at this point.
Yeah. Where's Arnold?
Yeah.
He's been in 2 of these franchises. Kind of.
So I threw you off there.
It's fine. She's got the last viable queen.
We got a predator.
There's a predator who's working with the humans because the predator wants to get the hell off this planet too. Yeah. And the engineers are just like they've got this plan, and no one knows because no one speaks their language or anything, so they don't know what it is. And so we have one more issue to go in the alien storyline, and I think it's aliens versus predators. And it's interesting because, like I said, the Prometheus stuff really kind of wove itself in without ever really feeling like it was just shoehorned in there because now Prometheus is a thing, and now we have to worry about this. But it really actually adds a nice couple wrinkles to the storyline. Because before, the aliens were always just these, unkillable hive of monsters, and now there's the black goo, which apparently could kill them over time. And so I think that's a nice one. I think next month is the final issue of this chapter. And then switching gears over to Image Comics, it's issue 4 of Killer Be Killed by Ed Brubaker.
Okay.
And as wacky as this comic starts off with the kid trying to kill himself and the demon bringing him back to life, it hasn't gone back to those wacky supernaturally roots. Now we've got more like a Death Wish kind of thing going on. Charles Bronson wasting street trash.
Yep.
And it's gone into that, except, now he's got a ticking clock. He has to kill somebody once a month or he dies.
Okay.
But he's not just going to go around killing people. He's trying to meticulously find, like, the worst people possible.
All, yep.
So, like, Russian mobsters who are into, like, human trafficking. And it's nice to see
lawyers and politicians and telemarketers.
Yeah, it's like it's not just like the Punisher where he's like, oh, you're a bad guy, you're dealing drugs, you're dead, blam. There's a line in there where he sees a couple of drug dealers and he goes, I thought about it, but I'm like, really, no one's forcing the people they buy from to buy from them.
Yep.
And so he eventually does settle on Target and yada yada. But it's very interesting because it is. You'd think with a premise of you have to kill somebody once a month you die, it'd be like this crazy frantic stuff, but it's really more of like the psychology of watching this kid turn from this scared grad student into this, cold, calculating hitman, basically.
Interesting cover too, because you got like a 1950s, early 60s style.
It's the art style.
Be killed.
Yeah, the art is very, very much. That's why I love Image. It's Marvel and DC have fantastic art, but it gets a little homogenized sometimes in terms of the look. But Image gives you this wacky, I'll show you an inside panel.
Well, we'll have the picture up there too. We won't be able to put the whole panel up. Very cool.
Very cool stuff. And so I love this series. Ed Brubaker does fantastic work. And that's all I got for Image. Now we have Marvel and DC. In the realm of Marvel, Thanos, we were just talking about earlier for Infinity War, has now got his own ongoing series. And I'm not sure, I meant to look it up and I totally
Thanos
blanked.
Destroys the Universe. Issue 2, Thanos Destroys the Universe.
Yeah.
Issue 3.
Well, there's multiverses, so he can go around doing this all day. I'm not sure if this is Thanos' first ever starring series. It might be, but don't quote me on that because I forgot to look it up, like I said. But you think, with Thanos, like you said, it's like, what could this be about? Thanos kills planets and galaxies and universes, and it's like, how is this going to be, an ongoing series? But the issue starts off, you see what's happened in Thanos' absence, because Thanos was a part of early, at least the Civil War II storyline.
Right.
So in his absence during this, some of his former lackeys have kind of risen up and established a power base.
Like that idea.
Yeah.
Thanos versus some of his...
Well, no, the first part of it is Thanos showing up and being like, what do you think you're doing? And just laying waste to all of them. But...
I was hoping they might put up a fight.
Yeah, right?
No
but
such luck.
Thanos... Actually, he will be getting a fight because Thanos' son, Thane. Mm-hmm. And Thane is the polar opposite of his father.
Okay.
He's ashamed that he's the son of this mad god-killing Titan thing. He actually, at one point, supplanted Thanos and actually spent a good part of his life healing planets that Thanos had ravaged. Mm-hmm. And so Thane clearly doesn't like his father, and he decides enough is enough.
Okay.
And he basically is assembling a hit squad to go after Thanos.
Awesome.
And
who's going to be on this hit squad?
It's a lot of really obscure cosmic characters.
Everybody out of
Thanos' brother, Star Fox.
Yeah, you're going to have to pull everybody out of the woodwork to get Thanos down.
Take
that thing down.
And I forget the Galactic Champion's name, but like this guy who just wanders around taking on challengers because it's what he does. And you'd think still, it's like Thanos is a big cosmic level villain. You need everybody.
Who can you hire to do this? Like, hey, I need you to do a job. What are you doing? Well, we're building up a team to go take out Thanos.
Well, no, that's the best part is the guy...
Wait, I'm sorry, I got to work late that night.
The guy who goes to get Star Fox doesn't tell him why until the very end. The ship is leaving. He goes, what does Thane even want to see me for? And he goes, oh, we're going to kill Thanos. And the look on his face is like, get me off the ship now. But
too funny. They
add another wrinkle into this because, like I said, Thanos is this crazy powerful character. You need usually 2 teams of Avengers to fight, even and stand a chance. And without giving too much away, they do add a wrinkle into why Thanos maybe at this time is particularly vulnerable, more so than he has been in the past.
Okay.
So I thought it was a good first issue. I'll stick with it. It's tough to really judge a comic's quality on the first issue.
Yeah.
Because you have to run into it's the pilot syndrome for a TV show.
Did it start off
you got to front load the exposition and all this stuff. But it's cool. I do like the cosmic aspect of the Marvel Universe a lot. So I'll definitely stick with this for a little while at least. And then on to DC. Trinity by Francis Manapul, which is Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. The first storyline's kicked off in Poison Ivy, funnily enough.
Awesome.
It looks like she's the first villain they're tangling with.
Good.
Now, Poison Ivy fading Batman, okay, sure. Yeah. Poison Ivy versus Wonder Woman or Superman?
Yeah.
That should be over pretty quick.
Poison Ivy versus
all
3 of them?
Yeah. No chance. But basically she traps them within a plant that creates hallucinogenic effects. So they're basically all kind of stuck in their past, basically, reliving traumatic moments. The first 2 issues we see, or really the first issue about it, is Superman reliving when his father dies.
Okay.
Batman is when his parents are murdered,
yep.
But it's not quite right because it's basically a trip,
yep.
And so we don't know why Poison Ivy has attacked them. They don't even know it's Poison Ivy. They just know something happened to them. We're not sure why Poison Ivy is attacking them at this point. We don't know, is she doing it on her own? Is she acting under someone else's orders? So the first issue was about Superman's past. This one was about Batman's. So it looks like probably, if logic follows, the next one will be Wonder Woman.
It's pretty intense if they got Poison Ivy going up against these 3. She's actually holding her own. Even
right now they're trapped.
But still, she's holding her own.
It's Poison Ivy going up against people way out of her power league. But
she's still doing it.
And I think it's a fun way to force them all to bond because this Superman is the Superman from a different universe after the New 52 Superman died.
Okay.
So Batman is very skeptical of this one because he doesn't know him. This is basically another person with powers on the same level as Superman who just showed up.
Yep.
Wonder Woman's a bit more accepting, but still kind of cautious. And so this is a nice way, I think, of kind of sticking them all together and forcing them to actually develop a team rapport. And Francis Manapul is a fantastic writer. He's also a fantastic artist. This thing is just gorgeous to read, cover to cover. And I'm definitely excited for the next issue.
Nothing like some great art. And that wraps up your comics for
That's all I got for comics.
We're going to try to start wrapping this thing up now because we're definitely going long here. But Tom and I got... actually, no, heck with it. We're having fun. We got... you didn't do any games this week?
I do. Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Pokemon, for those of you who don't know, and if you don't know, you've either been in a coma for the
you've
past
really been in a coma.
Years. You go around catching the Pokemon, and like I said, there's criticisms that really it's just the same thing every year with new Pokemon and maybe a new type of battle mechanic or a new HM or a new Pokemon type.
Which is a funny criticism considering how huge it is. This game is.
This game, though, really feels like if you hadn't played Pokemon before, or if you've been playing Pokemon since the beginning, it really is almost like the start of a new kind of franchise. Great. It's the same thing. You catch Pokemon, you go from place to place, but this really feels different. Because before it's always, you start in Town A and you fight through the other 8 gym leaders to get to the Pokemon League, and then you win and you become Pokemon League champion. This one, it's a chain of 4 islands. They based it off Hawaii. It's called the Alola region. And instead of becoming the Pokemon League champion, you're becoming the Island Challenge champion. And each island has a set of trials that you have to pass. And when you do, you battle that island's kahuna, which is basically their gym leader.
The big kahuna.
Yeah, the big kahuna. And it's interesting because the trials, I thought were just going to be a series of Pokemon battles, but they aren't. Battling is obviously part of the trials, but sometimes you have to scavenge for the right kind of food to attract a certain Pokemon. Other one, you have to memorize a Tiki Torch dance and find the differences. So it's a nice change of pace, and it's really different in the sense of you're not just like, okay, I got to trudge through till I hit the gym leader, and then I trudge through till I hit the next gym leader. It's really about exploring the island, and they really do look visually stunning since the transition to 3D. And the other fun thing is it's this generation of Pokemon, it's a solid generation of Pokemon. Like, they had, in previous generations, there was the ice cream Pokemon. And there was the, like, literally, like, the gear in a machine Pokemon. And you're like, whatever. But this one, with the tropical Hawaiian setting, really lend itself to some cool Pokemon designs. And I really like it. And it's interesting because it's not playing out like a normal Pokemon game does. And they got rid of the HMs, which, like, you needed to go fly or surf or move boulders. And they always ate up a move slot in a Pokemon.
I remember that.
And it got annoying because you had to keep a certain Pokemon in your rotation if you knew, okay, this area is a lot of boulders, so I need strength, so I got to keep, X and such in my party, even though I don't really ever use X and such. In this one, they introduced the ride concept, where as you beat kahunas or trials or whatever, they add new Pokemon that you can just call. So if you want to fly back to an island you've been on before, you call a Charizard. If you want to move a boulder out of the way, you use Tauros and ram right through it. And you don't have to eat up Pokemon slots and move slots with Pokemon or moves you're just never going to use. So they've really kind of streamlined everything. And this is a small feature that they added, and it is so cool. One of the annoying things is whenever once you have 6 Pokemon in your party, any Pokemon you catch after that, go to the PC. And then you can go to a Poke Center and swap out your Pokemon. In this one, they added a thing where after you catch a Pokemon, you can just swap it out straight out of the get-go with another Pokemon and send that one to the PC and get the new one right in your party immediately. And it's such a small feature, but it's really, a lot of these are just small features that add up together to really make this game feel fresh and not just like a retread of past Pokemon stuff. So I'm on the 3rd island out of 4 right now. I just got there.
Is this Sun and Moon? This
is Sun and Moon. I'm playing Sun version right now. And I will probably get Moon once I beat Sun. But I gotta say, this is a really great entry into the franchise, and I think it's a sign that Nintendo can keep this going for a long time without really feeling like it's getting stale.
It's a relief to hear, because I think this has been in the news hot since before we even started this whole thing here with Sci-Clops, and it's one of the first things I discovered was Pokemon Sun and Moon. They were talking about all over the place, and now it's going to be big. The only video game I can add to this whole thing is a much simpler game. I started off at the very bottom. I went to Pong or chess. I don't know. I went to World of Tanks, and I liked it. I got the Steam stuff loaded. I'll be covering a lot of Steam games from this point on for a while. I was trying to do Hello Neighbor, and I couldn't get the darn thing to work on my computer. So it's not their fault. I got a lousy computer, and I think it was also a new game, and they had warned there was going to be some problems because in development right now. I think it's an alpha release or something, I don't know, or beta, whatever. And so I went over to World of Tanks, which is fun. Rendering is a little tough at times. Again, might be my computer. If you want a fun game with a bunch of controls and a lot of options, once you get the tank back into the garage, you can pick all these things, camouflage, and change the guns and stuff.
Bright pink.
Yeah, bright pink. I want bright pink tank. They got some really cool camouflage, and I got these little tanks, and you basically work your way up from the bottom. My only complaint is, which is how they make their money, but a lot of things require gold.
Microtransactions.
And to get the damn gold, you gotta go buy another $4 worth of whatever, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do that right now. But I mean, some of you out there like to do that. It's okay. You got $5 to kill you. Buy 5,000 gold pieces and start buying some stuff up, and that's how these guys make their money. It's okay. I understand that. But you can still have a lot of fun with it without having to buy a lot of gold. And it's a hard game, and because I'm using it with a keyboard, so I got the WSAD and the keys, and you got to have the numbers, and so all of a sudden you're in the middle of a fight, and you've been hit 3 times, and you're like, oh no, I gotta fix something, and you gotta look back at the keyboard and find out where number 5 is, because I'm always messing it up. Yeah. And so it's a little tricky, but it's a lot of fun if you want to try it. It should reduce you to a fit of swearing and screaming the way it has with me.
Hey, that's a sign of a great video game.
Sign of a great video. But you never do that. I never hear you freaking out over your video games. I flip out of this. I'm like, stupid idiot tank, I hate this game. And then I gotta play another one.
That's me playing Titanfall 2 late at night.
Titanfall. So that's it for.
Where I'm also bright pink.
I think for games where finally.
I seriously am. I think it's hilarious. I put bright pink camo on everything.
Bright pink
because
camo.
You're gonna remember getting killed by the guy in bright pink.
Yeah. In bright pink. That's kind of funny. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, like just not only just
you get killed a billion times in video games, but the guy who killed you wearing bright pink camo with a bright pink gun,
lavender.
That one's gonna stick out.
Lavender with the most amazing hairstyle. So anyway,
fabulous.
And the last thing I'm going to cover, fabulous. I think this is it. You're all done with yours.
I'm all set. Yep.
I got one last thing I want to cover really quick, which is tech, which is kind of cool. We love to do from the future stuff here. And one of the 2 things we talked about was drones and robots, and there's been 2 big pieces of news which we have up on the site. One is that New Zealand has finally brought in the first pizza drone delivery, and while somebody
take
pizza
my money,
delivery, it's a big deal because they're talking. Pardon me. It's on trial in New Zealand right now. They're trialing this thing out to see how it works, and basically is you order a pizza, and this drone will drop it by a tow cable in your yard, I think your backyard or whatever, within 10 minutes. Which is pretty darn impressive if you think about it. And of course they're gonna, they're gonna test it and get it better and better and better. And one of the reasons I'm really excited about this, not only because of the pizza, but because it could be medicine, it could be groceries, it could be beer and pizza, or it could be pizza and beer,
pizza.
or it could be more pizza, or even better than that, it could be 2 pizzas. Okay, so
or the industrial grade drones
pizza
bringing
wings
a
and
sheet
a Twix
pizza,
bar. Yeah. Sheet pizza, or pizza and Pepsi. Anyway, so we've come up with all these cool things you can do with drones. But I had talked to somebody who was working in some kind of high-tech stuff. I met him at a convention. We were sitting around talking. And he was talking about the idea that they're putting together where they have high-rises, and you would have a pad built into your high-rise.
For a drone?
Yeah, and actually a drone sensitive or a drone. They would tell the drone, the pad would be, I don't know, maybe a universal locator code or whatever, GPS. I don't know how they're going to do it. And the drones would show up. So the people on the 49th floor no longer have to run all the way down to the bottom or go to somebody, and everybody's got to get in the elevator and go up and down.
Yeah, figure though, if you're 49 stores or something up, you got to have like FAA clearance for that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Every single drone now has FAA clearance, the major ones. But that's one of the things that the FAA is muscled in on this one quick and said, okay, all drones are going to be FAA clearance now because you can't just have these things flying all over the place. And as much as I hate to see any kind of big government intervention,
you got I have
complained about it, but you got things flying all over the place, and somebody accidentally strays into an airport, you're gonna have a major issue.
Yeah.
So or flies over the White House or Trump Tower or whatever it is going to be. So the point is that it's very cool to see this stuff. The drones are coming up fast, and there's going to be a lot of interesting things to see how deliveries are going to be done. And especially Amazon has its own little pad they're developing where you drop the pad out. In the
Amazon was one of the first people to try this, or at least want to try it.
You'll drop your stuff from Amazon right on the pad, walk out to your driveway and get it, or whatever you got, a patio or a deck or a roof. I don't know if you haven't even got that. Maybe they'll be on the top of your building, they'll have a pad, a general pad. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see. If anybody out there is actually using one of these things, or seeing it, if it's had anything dropped off
New
to them, let us
Zealanders,
know.
we're talking to you.
Yeah, or even here in America, let us
Send
know.
us pizza.
What do you think of it? We'd like to have a drone pizza dropped here. So it's kind of cool. Until they can get 3D printers to print pizzas up, we got to go with drones.
That'll be the day.
That'll be the day.
The replicator from Star Trek.
Never leave the house again.
That's the one thing they never talk about with the Star Trek replicators. You have a thing that literally creates food.
Chicken soup.
How do you just not have fat people everywhere?
Yeah.
See, this is what I think about. I don't think about world politics or, are they going to find a cure for cancer? I think about why doesn't the replicator cause an epidemic of fat people in Star Trek?
It's a good thought, because do you have replicators? Yes, we have 3D printers now. They're not making food yet, but they're starting to make metal and plastics and a lot of other things. And so pretty soon, who knows how much longer until it makes a simple food. So we don't know yet, but it's going to be really cool. And the last thing is we had our first, sad to say, but it's the end has come. We've had our first example of a runaway robot who injured someone.
Oh, God.
And I have the article here.
Well,
did you see the article yet?
No. We're all going to die.
And, it was the kids. They had these kids out. Let's all look at the robot. Blah, blah, and something went wrong, and it went and it hurt somebody, and it broke a window.
I'm sorry,
And they're saying,
Dave.
well, it was Bob hit the wrong command. I was like, listen, these things only know one command. Kill all humans. Okay, that's the one. It doesn't matter what the command is you give it. Kill all humans is what it hears. And that's what this thing tried to do. So
Skynet just rearing its head.
I'm telling you right now, start building the shelter and get the largest gun, the 50 cals, anything you can get ready, sledgehammers, and get
thermite.
Ready for this thing. You laughed at me, but here's the first injury. The first injury going out to the emergency room. How'd you get hurt? Robot attack. Oh, crap. Here we go.
Well, here. It's going to be interesting, because is it going to be Terminator robots or Matrix robots? There's a couple that it could be.
It doesn't matter. It's just going to be robots
of death.
Bad enough that the stupid things are... And backed by AI, which I'm not even going to get into that right now. Wait till they start getting really smart instead of just wondering idiotic things that push you through glass windows when it's supposed to be for the kids.
And hold your face under the pool.
Yeah, and hold your face and tears you from limb to limb and throws fire at you and every other stupid thing. Before it enslaves your family and makes them build machines so the robots can spread out all over the world. Well, anyway, so that's about it. Leave you on that happy thought. If we see you next time, if the apocalypse hasn't happened yet, we will be at podcast 11. So we're looking forward. We really appreciate the support.
Brought to you by our robot overlords.
Yeah, whatever's left, we will be frantically transmitting from a booth or a bunker somewhere in the northeast of the United States. But in the meantime, please do support us. Please like the podcast, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and, of course, the website, Sci-Clops.com. And we'd love to hear from you. Please send comments or suggestions or anything you want to hear about. And we'll see you very soon with Podcast 11. And you have a great week. And in the meantime, keep the geek.
We'll see you guys.